welcome to Slapshot Podcast, episode number 107. I'm your host, Christopher Morais. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Why don't you just trickle on in, grab yourself a chair. We got a lot of things to talk about today. Banger of a week about to start. Banger of a week. We got some hot news dropping. We got the Montreal Canadiens players breaking all kinds of records. Listen, fantastic time. The NHL season is slowly coming to an end. We've made it this far. But for some teams, it's not over yet. For other teams, it's done. Right? Calgary, Vancouver. It's done. It was done a long time ago. But it's done. Other teams were still in the hunt. We got things to do. We got lots to break down. But again, I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you have found yourself in here by accident, listen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. You want to know how you get yourself back here again? You're watching over on YouTube, youtube.com/@slapshotpod. Go ahead, hit the sub button, ring the bell. If you are watching it there, look at this. Look at this wonderful little graphic here. Look at this wonderful little, I did this myself. You can follow the podcast on TikTok. You can follow the podcast on Instagram. You can follow it on X, okay, @Slapshot Podcast. Make sure you go ahead, click the follow button wherever you enjoy it. All right, you can follow me as well on X, @FuzzyChris91. Just a whole bunch of hot takes and food takes and pictures of my dog. That's what we're about over there. But listen, we got to get into some stuff today. Let's take a look at the breaking news, things that have happened since the last time we spoke. Okay, it's going to be very Habs focused, because it has been doing a lot of things since the last time we spoke. One, congratulations to Jakob Dobes. He was named first star of the week. He put together a week. An absolute banger of a week. Let me pull up his numbers here. He had a big one here. 3-0-0. Okay, he played 3 games last week. 1.33 goals against average, 962 save percentage. My guy. He has now passed Carey Price for most wins for a rookie goalie, which is it's pretty good. Pretty good if I don't say so myself. It was a fantastic week for him. Speaking of fantastic weeks, Lane Hudson had himself a week. He continues to rack up just every accolade that you can get at this point. He is now the fastest defenseman to record 30 multi-assist games. Okay, he did that in 157. That is the fastest. He is also now I think he's the only Montreal Canadiens defenseman, if I'm not mistaken, with back-to-back 60-plus assist seasons. Some people are like, I'm old enough to remember when people were like, oh, Lane Hudson's not going to be able to do this in the NHL. And then he did it in his rookie year. And everybody's like, well, sophomore year is going to be tough. And then he's come out and he's been even better. Sky's the limit for this kid. Sky's the limit. He's an excellent defender. He's he's doing everything that you want a defenseman to do. Flabbergasted at some of the stuff that he's able to achieve. And he's just getting started. But absolute banger of a week for Lane Hudson. Less than ideal news here is for Linus Ullmark. Linus Ullmark is getting criticism on the internet, which is exactly where you want him to be criticized, because he needed some time to rest. So I believe it was Ottawa against Tampa Bay and over the weekend, and James Reimer got the start, okay? And a lot of people are going like, why is James Reimer starting such a critical game? Now, Ottawa did get out to a 2-0 lead, and don't forget, Nikita Kucherov didn't play that game. He missed both games over the weekend because he was ill. They went up 2-0. They proceeded to lose 4-2, okay? Just let that sink in for a minute. And a lot of, Travis Green came out after the game and said, hey, Milo is unhappy about it as well. But he came out and he said he was unavailable, right? He would play him, but he was unavailable and that he needed a break. Now, Linus Allmark here. Here's some numbers for you, okay? He has started 12 of the 16 games since the Olympic break, okay? We are very aware of everything that Linus Allmark has had to go through this season, right? It's been a difficult one for him personally, and if he needs a break, we criticize players, right, for being human at times, right? Especially understanding everything that he's gone through. All right. And sometimes the world likes to criticize players when they open up and they talk about their mental health. Right? Like, we're all champions of it, or we're like, good for him for talking about it. And then we criticize that exact thing. Right? He needed a break for whatever reason. And then people go out there and say, well, how dare he need a break when his team needs him? Like, listen, I get that sometimes hockey players are superhuman to us, right? I don't know. Maybe the Ottawa Senators shouldn't be relying on James Reimer. Like, maybe that's another conversation to be had. Maybe the Ottawa Senators, if they had better goaltending depth, wouldn't be in this situation, right? I know you went out, you signed Linus Allmark to be that guy, hasn't really gotten there just yet. Maybe that's an organizational problem, right? You shouldn't have signed him to the money that you did, because he can't do it. And that's perfectly fair as well, if he can't. Maybe he was a product of playing in Boston, which I said was true. Linus Allmark has to get out of Ottawa. I don't know how quickly he can do so, but for himself, for his mental health, he's got to get out of Ottawa. Because this franchise they're going to run him into the ground, and he probably deserves better. But again, the Ottawa Senators are in their position that they are today. Yes, it's because of goaltending. Yes, it's because, in part, of Linus Allmark's play. But he isn't the only one to blame here. Again, maybe don't rely on James Reimer, who, by the way, some of you may have forgotten, was playing in the Spengler Cup before he joined the Senators. Okay? So, again, we champion players and we applaud them when they come out and they talk about their mental health. And then they're like, hey, man, I can't go. And then he's getting criticized. So, anyways, good luck to Linus Allmark. I hope he finds the peace that he most certainly deserves. Moving on to something more fun. Porter Matone has signed his entry-level contract with the Philadelphia Flyers. He will join the team immediately. I forget which college team he plays for, but they were eliminated over the weekend. So he signs his entry-level contract. The Flyers are somewhat in a playoff hunt, but not really. And they're just not great. They don't score many goals. They don't give up a ton, but they're just an uneventful hockey team. So Matone will join them right off the rip here. There's about less than 10 games for the Flyers. I'm excited to see how he plays, maybe add a little bit of punch to that lineup. He seems to be excited to be there. He kind of fits the description of being a Philadelphia Flyer. So that sounds fun. Not expecting a ton from him, but this is a good start for Porter Matone. Get the deal done. He's, another young wave of players coming out of college hockey that trying to establish themselves in the NHL, so good for him. Last and most certainly not least, this one is more of a water cooler talk, but it sounds like, per Renaud Lavoie, that the Montreal Canadiens could potentially, maybe, hypothetically, one day, host an outdoor game. Now, of all the Canadian teams to host an outdoor game, the Canadiens have not. They have not hosted one. They have been part of outdoor ones. I have attended one, the Winter Classic in Boston. They also had the Heritage Classic, right? The first ever outdoor game was in Edmonton. So the Montreal Canadiens are the only one. And they're like, why not us? Now, if you are in or around the city of Montreal, there's probably a lot of reasons to explain that why. Where are you going to host this? Where? So there is some talk that they may build a temporary stadium outdoors at Parc Jean Drapeau. If you have no idea what that is, think of it. So where the F1 circuit is, right? So F1, that track, it's an island. It's literally a man-made island. There's an amusement park. Great place. So it sounds like they want to build a temporary stadium, which you most certainly can. It's accessible, right? From multiple different avenues if you wanted to get there via public transit. Like, where else are you going to host it outdoor? You can't host it where the CFL's Montreal Alouettes play because that stadium is too small, right? Can't do it. Can't do it. It's got to drive in revenue, right? You can't host it at the Olympic Stadium because I'm assuming the roof will fall in at some point. They're fixing it again. The best alternative for the Olympic Stadium would be to blow the building up, but apparently they just want to keep shoving money into it, so good for them. I'm excited if this is true because it could happen as early as 2028, 2029. So in like 3 years. That'd be kind of cool. I would maybe sell a kidney to go. I'm just assuming it would cost that much. But an outdoor game in Montreal would be fantastic. I'm assuming they'd have to play the Leafs. It is what it is. But I think that would be cool. I think it's time that Montreal Canadiens got their chance to join the elite group of teams, Canadian teams. They're the last ones, man. Come on. We've had enough. All right? Let the Montreal Canadiens host an outdoor game. Let somebody else smarter figure it out, but maybe looking forward to it. So let's jump in here to something, our main topic. Okay. Now, maybe you've been sleeping under a rock. You're like, Chris, I have no idea what's been happening over the last, 24 hours. Well, let me help you understand what's happened. The Vegas Golden Knights decided they needed a change. They decided to fire their coach, Bruce Cassidy. They were like, hey, man, I know it's late in the year, but pack your bags and leave. Okay. And then they shocked the world because they hired this man right here. That's right. John Tortorella is back in the NHL, baby. So the Vegas Golden Knights have hired John Tortorella to finish out the year. This is not a sign through more than 1 year. No, he's falling into the Rick Bowness category. Finish out the year, and then we'll reestablish ourselves. Now, John Tortorella did state that his last gig was when he was with the Flyers. He's like, that's it, I'm done. Clearly, he was not. And I think this is an opportunity that probably would have enticed Tortorella to be like, yeah, man, I'll do this. Vegas is a good team. I know they haven't played like that this year. But if you look at their lineup and the amount of talented players that are on it, this is probably, I would say, the most talented lineup he's had since he was coaching the Tampa Bay Lightning. Rangers had a good team. The Flyers didn't. Vancouver, maybe. But this is in terms of raw talent on a team. There's a lot of guys here. A lot of game breakers. So John Tortorella was like, hey, man, I'll take it. Right off the surface, a lot of people are like, wow, imagine firing your coach with less than 10 games left. We've seen this before. The New Jersey Devils have done it. They've done it twice. Once didn't work out well, but when, I think it was Larry Robinson who took over that 1 year, they ended up winning the Stanley Cup. Now, I'm not saying that Vegas is going to win a Stanley Cup, but this is definitely a jolt, right? And John Tortorella, love him or hate him, some players love him, others hate him. You know what you're getting from John. He's not going to mess around with you. So he's being asked to come in here and, I don't know, just I don't know what exactly he's going to do because it's so late into the season. You're not learning a new system. right? Like, you're not learning a whole different way to play. There's 9 games left. You're barely practicing. And this is assuming Vegas makes the playoffs. It's likely that they will, but that ticket hasn't been punched yet. So he's coming in here to lean on the expertise that he already has and I guess try to change a couple of little things here and there. But again, you're not teaching this gang at this point of the year a whole new system to play, because that would be impossible. Now, you do know what you're going to get out of John Tortorella. He's going to want a lot of guys blocking shots, hard forecheck. And listen, there are some players on this team that don't necessarily fit that description, like Mitch Marner. But I will say this about the Vegas Golden Knights. This organization is ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. Right? And for better or worse, they do have a Stanley Cup to their franchise name. Okay? And they're not built the same way other organizations are. They want to win at all costs. It doesn't matter what the cost is, they will pay it. They'll do whatever they have to do to try to win. And this is another example of that. All right, we always joke about how they don't have any first-round picks and, circumventing the salary cap in any way, shape, or form. But listen, they want to win. They'll do whatever they have to do to win. And here they are. Maybe they feel that John Tortorella can provide enough of a jolt to this team to help give them a chance to get out of the Pacific. Because let's keep it a stack. The Pacific Division is terrible. It is horrendous. If it was up to me, not a single team out of the Pacific would be making the playoffs. Probably a good time to have a conversation about, fixing the playoff format. But Gary hates us, and he's excited about a top-tier first round instead of focusing on, having the best teams make it. But again, we're not going to get sidetracked today. That's not what we're here for. So, John Tortorella comes in, and you say, well, what's he here to fix? Well, listen. Let's start with the obvious here, okay? Again, if you live under a rock, this is new to you. But to most of us, it's pretty easy to understand why Vegas has not been great, okay? Now, of course, a big thank you to the folks over at moneypuck.com for all these numbers here. This is the Vegas Golden Knights to this point, okay? This is a team loaded with talent. Unfortunately, the talent has not been there, okay? Now, I'm going to read this off to you. If you're listening, I'll do my best. If you're watching, there's a lot of advanced analytics here. Pull out your pen and paper so you can understand, okay? Vegas is expected goals for to this point. So what they should score is 154 goals to this point of the season. Their expected goals against, 133. Okay? You're saying it's not bad. Their expected differential is actually positive. Right? Now, I just want to point this out. These stats are at 5-on-5. Okay? We're not going to worry about the power play and all that kind of stuff. 5-on-5 stats. Most games are played 5-on-5. So if you're going right now, you're checking NHL.com, you're like, Vegas has scored more than 154 goals. You're right, they have. These are 5-on-5 stats. The difference is about 21 goals, which is good. It means you score more than you allow. That's a good recipe. That's what you want, right? Basic hockey, I'm not saying anything that's unheard of to this point. Their expected, their goals for above expected, though, is in the negative. So they're minus 3 goals, which means they've scored 141 goals. 151. So they're a little bit behind pace, 5-on-5. Okay? Here's where it gets problematic for this team, okay? You might be able to fix the offense a little bit. But John Tortorella is coming in here to specifically help the goaltending and the back end, okay? Their goals against above expected is 27.62. Now you're saying, what does that mean, Chris? They have allowed 27 more goals against 5-on-5 than they should have. Okay. So what is their real goal differential above expected, right? So goals for, goals against. They are minus 31. That is the worst mark in the NHL in terms of goals against, goals for, and goals against above expected. It is the worst. No team is worse. Ottawa is second, which, again, we know why. But no team has been worse 5-on-5 than the Vegas Golden Knights in terms of keeping the puck out of their own net. And the last one is probably the most telling, which is what we call PDO. Okay? Think of PDO as your pace of play. And the way it's calculated is your shooting percentage and your save percentage. Okay? Add your save percentage, add your shooting percentage, gives you a number. That's how quickly you play the game, trading chances. Okay? Vegas has the worst PDO at 97.57%. It's the worst. 100 is like average. Okay? It's average. You want to be in the like 110, 115, right? Where your shooting percentage is high and your save percentage is high. Those are where the elite hockey teams hang out. Vegas is nowhere close to that. This team is nowhere close to being elite. Now, in their history, they've missed the playoffs only one time. They've been consistent throughout the entire existence of their franchise. But this season, it has been specifically challenging for a team that has proven, they have proven that you can take any goalie to the Stanley Cup final and win. They've proven this. I know sometimes you can build a team around strong goaltending, right? Having an elite backstop. But we've also seen teams win Stanley Cups without that elite goaltending, okay? Think back to the Colorado Avalanche when Darcy Kemper won. His save percentage was below 900 through the entire playoffs, okay? And then Vegas pulling out, Aiden Hill came out of nowhere. I think, like, Jonathan Quick, before he went to New York, got a couple of starts. Like, I'm pretty sure his name is on the Stanley Cup. Like, there's a lot of things here that have happened. And, of course, you could look back and say, hey, they signed Aiden Hill. They let Logan Thompson walk. That kind of hasn't worked out. Sure. Maybe they've taken, listen, in true Vegas fashion, they've taken some gambles, and they haven't all worked out. I get that. That's fair. Is this maybe a little bit of an overreaction from Vegas? Maybe. Because it's not like Bruce Cassidy is a bad coach. He's going to get hired. And I know everybody's screaming, oh, you should go to Toronto. Of course. Because the last time Toronto was screaming for a coach, they got him. And now they can't wait to fire him. Anyways, that's a conversation for a different day. But the Vegas Golden Knights have been really bad in goal. Now you're saying, Chris, it can't be that bad, right? And I'm like, well, hold on. Yes, it can be. Let's dive into the numbers here. These are the 4 goalies that they've started. Okay? 4. That's usually a bad sign, right? When you have multiple goalies needing to start for you, bad sign. Some due to injury, a lot of it due to play. We've calculated this, so there's goals against, expected goals against, and then goals saved above expected, right? So you take your goals against, what you should have against. If that number is a negative, it's no good. It's no bueno, okay? One goalie has a positive, goals saved above expected. That's Akira Schmid, who has not been that great, by the way, okay? So his goals saved above expected is 3.5, which is, like, it's fine. It's nothing great. And 34 starts, you're like, all right, he's been the least terrible of the gang. Because Carl Lindblom has played 8 games. His goals saved above expected is minus 4.7. So he's given up 4.7 more goals than he should have. Okay. Carter Hart, remember him? He is a Vegas Golden Knight. Yeah. Remember that? Well, listen, his goals saved above expected is minus 11. Okay. He's given up 11 more goals than he should have in 12 games played. It's not great. But at the same time, Carter Hart hasn't played hockey in forever. So, is that an excuse? No. But it's understandable. I don't think he's a very good goalie to start with. The experiment hasn't worked out. Another gamble that hasn't paid off. Now, this is the problem. Adin Hill has been an absolute dumpster fire on the season, okay? His goal save above expected is minus 15.5. I just want you to understand, this is 5-on-5. In 25 games, he's given up 15.5 more goals than he should have. That is like there's terrible, and then there's whatever Adin Hill is doing. That's how bad it is. Okay? Let me find what I'm looking for here. Now, again, these numbers are bad. Save percentage, that's a team number. Adin Hill's save percentage on the year, all situations, okay, is .866. Like, that number is not even acceptable in the AHL, because that would probably get you sent down to the ECHL. Adin Hill is allowing goals left, right, and center. And listen, maybe he's not healthy, right? Maybe he's not. But there's also things outside of his control. Alex Pietrangelo, right, who isn't playing this year due to injury, did they go out and replace him? Not really. Not really. Rasmus Andersson has come over. It has not looked good. It has not been good. And Vegas has gone through stretches where they can't find the back of the net. William Karlsson is hurt. And a team that is supposed to be stacked is employing Mitch Marner down the middle, which I don't think is what he was signed to do. Now, you can blame Mitch Marner and all the other things so that Leafs Nation can feel better about themselves. But the fact of the matter is this team has not performed. And I believe this is management's way of saying, hey, we got to do something before we get replaced, because that's the next step. There are lots of things that have gone on where you look at McCrimmon, the GM, and go, this isn't working. This isn't working anymore. And bringing in a guy like John Tortorella at this point of the year to try to fix a problem, you know what I mean? The dealer is holding, he's got a face down card, and then he's got a high card like a 10. You're sitting on 16 and you're hitting, and you're like, man, I got to do something. That's what I feel like it is. Because this feels like an impossible position for John Tortorella to be in. Like, how much change can you really bring in a short period of time? And if the standings hold the way that they do right now, Vegas has to play Edmonton in the first round. And listen, Edmonton's got their own problems, okay? But I don't know if I want to be playing McDavid and Draisaitl, assuming Draisaitl is healthy enough. I with the goaltending I have now, I don't know if I want to be playing McDavid. That just doesn't seem like a recipe for success. And I don't know if this organization is comfortable with a first-round exit. Like, changes can still come. I also, why would you go out and bring in John Tortorella and then what? In the offseason, hire another coach? That's a lot of coaching changes. John Tortorella is the fourth coach now in their franchise history, which you're like, well, that's not much. They've existed for 7 years, by the way. Is this year 7 or 8? Somewhere there. You should not be changing coaches that often. But again, Vegas is dedicated to winning hockey games. They will do whatever is needed to win or to put themselves in a position to win, right? The salary cap is a mirage. It doesn't exist. They'll go out and add as many quality players as they can to make this team better, right? And here we are now with a goaltending situation that is beyond horrendous, with a blue line that isn't doing what it needs to do, and an offense that it hasn't been clicking. This offense, they're scoring 3.12 goals a game. That's not fantastic. It's not. And when I say the defense isn't doing their job, it's like that. It's unfair to to the defensive group to say that, because they limit their opponents to less than 25 shots a game. They do their part, right? But the goaltending hasn't been there. I'm not hiring John Tortorella to fix the goaltending problem, right? That ain't it. And John Tortorella has an attention to detail for the defensive side of the game. So I feel like the defense has been fine, but it's not where it needs to be. And I think there's certain players that are no longer there that have kind of hurt them, right? Like, yes, you have the Shea Theodores of the world and the Noah Hannafins, and like those guys are good. But you don't really have the, Zach Whiteclouds anymore. The guys who block shots and defend and do all the things that John Tortorella loves. I don't know if he's going to get the offense to buy in to what he's selling in a short period of time. I also don't think he's coming back next year. No way. You think so? I don't know. Especially if they miss the playoffs, he most definitely is not coming back. This feels like a spring break kind of thing for John Tortorella in Vegas. Just come in here, see if you can do something to this team. But they need help in goal. And we're at the point of the year where these are the guys who are there. And something's got to turn around. But I don't know if John Tortorella is going to fix Adin Hill. And I don't know what they got to do 5-on-5 to fix the whole situation. But, the power play has been good. They're operating at 24%. The penalty kill is operating at 81%. So, on a special teams metric, they're above average. The special teams have been good. Their 5-on-5 play has sucked. And it's in large due to the goaltending. The good news is they play the Canucks tonight, Monday, depending on when you listen to this. I think Vegas is a playoff team just because of how bad the Pacific is. But I don't think this is a long-term solution for Vegas. And I think this is a little bit of a panic move. Because you're throwing something at the wall, hoping it sticks. And Vegas, being true to themselves, are taking another gamble. And most recently, those gambles have not paid off. But again, for an organization that is dedicated to winning, you can't take that away from them. They want to win. Some teams don't make the playoffs for decades. That's not something that's going to fly in Vegas ever. This team wants to win. They want to compete. They want to be in the mix all the time. You can't fault an organization for wanting to be great and doing whatever's needed to be good. Is it going to catch up to them? Maybe. Maybe it does. Maybe at one point they become mediocre. But that day's not today. So I'm excited to see what John Tortorella is going to do. I'm excited to see how the players take it. Because again, you either love John Tortorella or you hate him. There's no middle with John. And players like that. Some of them do. Others don't. But we're about to find out what's going to happen with John Tortorella and the gang. All right? But listen, I'm excited for it. We'll see how that goes. Man, good luck, Vegas. But yeah, they got bigger problems. I just don't think John Tortorella is solving the problem in goal. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the episode for today. That brings an end to the podcast. Listen, as always, if you have found yourself in here by accident, I appreciate it. Go ahead. Hit the sub button, ring the bell on YouTube, okay? If you want to find the podcast somewhere else, right? At Slapshot Podcast on X. Hit the link tree. You can find the podcast in its audio form anywhere you enjoy audio. Make sure you follow it on TikTok. Right there. TikTok, Instagram, at Slapshot Podcast on TikTok, at Slapshot Podcast, 2 T's for Instagram. Okay. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here. We'll get one more episode in before the playoffs start. As always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thanks for being here. I love you. We'll talk to each other again soon.